Yes.
But we understand now the personal situation. You've been fired. You've lost your job. So, of course, we know that you're trying to get gainfully employed again. At the same time, though, we also understand that there are some lynchings. Yours was an intellectual lynching from the campus and university, political lynching, but that there's also been some physical lynching. Now, could you transition us into that aspect of the discussion?
Okay, very good. Now, I really didn't understand the flyer that was circulating and the importance and the connection to me being arrested subsequently banned from the university until I received a letter from the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General of Delaware is Bo Biden Jr., and his father is the Vice President, Joe Biden. I received a letter with an attachment from the Delaware State University attorney who's white, and I've never met him before. But in the letter, they had 10 points on there, and was 9 or 10 points in which they said that if I would admit all of these things that I allegedly did, they would drop all charges, and really I was going to incriminate myself, right? But one of the points stood out quite interestingly, and it was that I admit that I brought a flyer that depicted a black man being lynched. And I said, now, no black attorney would say that. Will write that down for a black man to admit that he brought and potentially produced that flyer, right? And so I said, now, why are they doing this? Well, I didn't understand until around May the 9th. I was at this park. I was going to this park since I was banned for the university, and I had nothing to do, and I was really in shock, honestly. I was at this park called Silver Lake Park in Dover. It's the largest park in the city, and I was there regularly, sometimes twice a day, 5 times a week. One day, my wife decided to come with me, and it was May the 9th or 8th, and she said, and I would walk around the park, for exercise, do about 2 miles, and I would leave my kids at the playground and play. And my wife, one day, she said, this is an evil place. She came like that. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, something strange is happening here. In fact, you shouldn't come. And if you do come, don't take your eyes off these kids. There's too many dark spots in this park, and it's evil. Now, my wife is from West Africa, and she's the daughter of a traditional African priest. So, but still, I was like, what are you talking about? Well, 3 days later, she calls me from work, and she says, they lynched a black man at the park. I said, what are you talking about? Lynching that? I said, when? She said, yesterday. And I went on the internet. I said, there's nothing in the newspaper about it. She said, I'm telling you, one of my white co-workers said that they lynched somebody at that park. And I told you that you shouldn't go back there. And so, of course, I never went back until the family of one of the victims begged me to go back with them. And there was a young man named John Clark. It was a young man who used to cut my hair. He was cutting my hair up until a year prior to his death. And he was found hanging from a tree. They alleged that it was suicide, that he hung himself with his own belt. Immediately, I was suspicious, and I began, as a member of the NAACP, I began to...
Stop for 1 minute. Help us out, because I lost the connection. Okay. Your wife told you this stuff. Did this guy get lynched after she was saying it, or he is the same person that got lynched the day before?
No, he got lynched after she said this, 2 days after she told me not to go to the park again.
So wait a minute. So after the day of the park, when she said it was evil, the guy who was lynched that your wife said that the co-worker talked about was a person that used to cut your hair. So you knew the brother.
A person that used to cut my hair. Yep, somebody I knew.
So now, how did you end up contacting the family and finding out that it was him? How did you find that out?
Well, I didn't know it was him. I went to the barber shop, and the barber shop, that's the local black media outlet. And so I went and started talking to the barbers, and my present barber said, yeah, that was my cousin. And I said, well, they said he was hanging from the tree. He said, yeah. They said it was a suicide. And I said, I don't think it was a suicide. I think this has something to do with these flyers that were circulating. So I went to the family, the mother and the brothers, and the very interesting thing, very few people in this area of Dover knew what a lynching was. They didn't know what the word lynch meant because it's not put in their educational curriculum. So, you know, and I said, one of the sisters said, well, Dr. Issa, what is a lynching? You keep saying that. We keep saying it's suicide and potentially murder, but you keep saying lynching. And I was like, wow, y'all don't know what a lynching is? Then it dawned on me, this is the perfect place to do it because the people are not properly educated to what is a lynching. And so I began to investigate. I interviewed about 15 people, including family members, and they all said that this brother, although he had problems, although he was formerly was a felon, he was trying to get his life together, and one thing he would never do is kill himself. And they said that this guy was known quite often to stay strapped, and his nickname was Snipes because he was snapped a lot. But he was a Muslim, and he was getting himself together. And I showed the family how to get an autopsy. I worked with them, rather, and they got the autopsy. It was a visual autopsy. They found out that the black funeral home that took the body without the family's permission. The family got the body back. It was all dressed up. They didn't know at the time what a lynching was, and they buried him according to Islamic codes and rules. And so we couldn't tell. I didn't get to see the body. We don't know what happened as far as the marks and everything. The family said they didn't see any marks. And I said, because you didn't know what was going on. And so after about a week with working with them, the family told me that they no longer wanted to work with me. They didn't believe that what I was saying. So I left them alone. A week later, I got a call from one of the brothers, and he asked me, did I believe in spirits? And I said, what do you mean? He said, do you believe in spirits? I said, yes, I do. I was trained in West Africa. He said, well, my brother ain't dead. I said, what do you mean? He said, my brother's spirit has come back to every family member telling us who killed him, and it was a lynching. They hung him. We know who did it and where it happened. And so I immediately called some activists and other professors from the university to come to meet with me, and let's go to the park where he was lynched. And the brother started telling me the dreams that every family member had, and that they were lynching. According to the dreams, the brother was going to come back with several of the spirits of other black men who were lynched. And so I'll never forget that day. We went to the park, and all of a sudden, all of these white truck drivers started rolling up on us, looking at us. We looked at them, and we just thought it was too dangerous, and we left. And a week later, the family said that they no longer wanted to be a part of it. They were getting a lot of pressure. I don't know from who. And the two brothers, then a few days after that, the brothers said they wanted to go public. And one day after they said they were going to go public, both of the brothers were arrested. So that was it. And then one of the activists that I went to the park with, I told her we needed to do something immediately. And, you know, because of the fear and the level of repression in the state toward African people, black people, a lot of people are just scared. And so I went to every black leader, church leaders, political leaders. Nobody was willing to do anything. And then one of the activists that accompanied me and another professor to the park where this lynching had occurred, told me, I asked her, well, we got to push this forward. And she said, no, I'm not doing anything. And I said, well, what happens if it's your son next? She said, ain't nothing going to happen to my son. Well, 3 weeks ago, I got a call from this very activist, female activist, and she said, you wouldn't believe it. They tried to lynch my godson who was living with me. I said, yeah, I told you it was going to happen. And so the brother came back. His name was Henry Fordham. They took him at gunpoint, drove him around the rural areas. He ended up unconscious. He was in and out of consciousness at the park where the last guy was allegedly lynched. He said that what brought him into conscious when they were saying that they were going to kill him, they wanted him to be alive when they cut off his penis and his ear. And they attempted to cut off his penis and his ear. We have pictures to prove it. And he started fighting for his life. He grabbed one of the guy's guns, and next thing you knew, he started running, screaming. It was around 6 a.m. He passed out in a person's yard. She called the ambulance. The police came. The police continued to harass the man. He went to the hospital. They took pictures and released him. Later on that day, a paralegal who everybody knows in the community attempted to go with the young man to the Attorney General's office to file a hate crime. The Attorney General's office, Bo Biden Jr., the Attorney General's office shut down the office at 3:30, and they shut down rather to allow this young man to put a hate crime in. Then they went to the police department to try to file. The police said that if he did it, they will file additional charges against the young man. And so they filed it. They sent it certified. And we went 2 weeks ago to a Dover Human Relations Commission. We had a report with the young man where they tried to lynch him, told the Dover Human Relations Commission that these white men that tried to lynch him said they admitted that they killed the last guy and other black men. And he said this in front of about 40 people. And the other family was asking for the commission to file a report with the police department to find out how their brother died. And we were supposed to have another meeting with the city council this past Thursday, but they canceled it. And so that's where we are right now.
Okay, now, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but for people who are listening, on this station, it's not that unusual because we had a very similar case in Louisiana with a brother whose son was lynched, and the body was taken, it was put to another state. They did the autopsy, removed his organs, did all of this stuff, brought him back. So it's a very similar type case. So our people have heard this before, but nevertheless, it sounds like you're talking about something out of Mississippi Burning from 1950. And you're saying right now you're in the middle of investigating this and trying to get the word out about what's occurring.
Well, the sad thing is that none of the black leaders, none of the black political leaders or church leaders want to deal with it. I've been warned that something may happen to me, and I should shut up. In fact, at the Human Relations Commission, one of the black commissioners stood up and said that they're tired of newcomers coming in and over sensationalizing or sensationalizing lynchings in the state. And, I had a word with her, and I said, I don't think this is something that what you're saying is accurate, and you shouldn't say that. But really what she was saying is that she's afraid, and she told me afterwards that I needed to be careful and that my life is in jeopardy. And, she even made the statement that I need to think about my children. And I simply told her, well, I am thinking about my children. This is why I'm coming forward. And I said, if you don't say anything, that's when they really come after you. And so this is where I am. I'm facing criminal charges, which we're supposed to go to trial in October the 22nd, but we're not prepared, and we're going to get a continuance. And, it's just a difficult time period. Where we are, and the fact that this is the vice president of the United States home state, and they don't want this to leak out. We went to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the Southern Poverty Center. None of them will report this because of the powers that be that are in the state.